So, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This morning, be doing a really quick warm-up illustration sketch for you guys. It's been a hot minute since I've been here. Working on Bristol board today with a Koh-i-Noor woodless Progresso pencil, dark blue. I like these. Typically, I'll use red, but I just like using these because they're got a nice wide. If I want to do a nice wide stroke. So hopefully everybody's been having a pleasant beginning of the week. Doing this is just a really quick warm-up piece before I start my day. You guys know that I love to do that. That's one of my favorite things to do. Getting things done in the business life, getting things done in the personal life. It's been a little bit of time since I think I posted a video last week. So again, trying to get out to you guys is not the easiest thing in the world, especially, during this time when everybody wants everything instantaneously. But I had quite a few people comment, and some of my regulars comment that they wanted to hear more commentary. Of course, this is after the fact that I had some people say that I talk too much. So gonna kind of balance it today, I think. Excuse me. So whenever I do something like this, obviously, I'm not going to go into details too quickly. That's, I think, one of the things that I've mentioned before here on the channel, is the fact that, we always tend to get into things a little bit too quickly. And, and we draw too heavy. And it's just one of those things where you're like, gosh, how can I fix that? How can I get looser? I think what it is, and this is something that I really struggled with early on, was not stressing that this is going to be like the best illustration in the world, right? This isn't going to be the best illustration. And two, whenever you're at this early of a stage, you really don't want to get in there and start putting material into the paper, because first of all, it's very hard to erase, and it marks up and puts indents into the paper if you're going to go to final. But if I want to fix something, it just becomes a harder thing to do overall if I've done, if I really pressed into the paper. And character design is one of those things where it's very, in my opinion, very fluid. Even though I've got an idea of what I want to do, I'm very open to changing things, especially early on, right? And I don't want to get locked into a composition. I don't want to get locked into a design to where it really hurts me for the overall character of the piece. And drawing lightly and being loose, it really helps. Helps in facilitating my thought process. Okay, so talking to you, I'm messing up my drawing. We're messing things up. Just kidding, you guys. There is no mess up. There is no right or wrong. I wish they told me that in school. There is no right or wrong. Which is BS, because they're grading you. So there is obviously a right or wrong, which I always thought was pretty interesting. So who am I doing? And why am I doing it? This so happens to be my get the finger up here as I'm talking to you. Okay. Here, okay. This so happens to be my my children's book character that I've been working on for my store. I've been working on it for about 3 years. Seems pretty sad that I haven't finished it yet. Yeah, I can say that because I'm the one doing it. And, you know, just because of work, just because of, you know, all the other things that are happening in my life, and everybody else's life for that matter, I put it on the back burner. And I'm not really happy about that, because I've got a lot of time invested in this, and I'd like to finish it. You know, I'd like to be financially stable enough to be able to do that, but that's not always the case. You know, it's not always the case, unfortunately. Get that tail that comes around here. You know, doing things in such a way that keeps your mental health. That's another thing. Keeping your mental health is important, and working all the time is not good for your mental health. You know, obviously slacking is not good because you won't get paid and then you have bills. But, you know, this is Beans. Beans is the alligator of Frankenbeans. Frank is the Frank is the bear, and it's a story about friendship. Beans comes from the other side of the tracks. You know, he's a alligator born and raised in Louisiana. Done some traveling, right? And then you have Frank, who is a Russian bear from the circus, and somehow they have struck up a friendship. See, I gotta keep looking back at my... I've got, you know, Frankenbeans all around here as visual reference, and that's important too. And plus, I've drawn Beans quite a few times that, you know, I kind of know what he's doing, his attitude, keeping things loose, you know. I had somebody recently ask me, they said, you know, as far as drawing cartoon animals, is there a trick? Because, you know, people want tricks. People want the easy fix most of the time. And honestly, no, there isn't. There isn't a trick. It's just drawing the animals a lot, getting to know the character, you know, if you're developing it, getting to know who he or she is, and really going in and you know, defining all the parameters that makes that character who they are. And that's important, especially whenever you're developing the character, because you don't want to have the character doing something that, you know, it wouldn't be doing as that character. Okay, so okay, so what I'm doing now, I've kind of established the attitude, I've established the look. You know, I've got the eyes kind of penciled in. And now I'm going back and really trying to kind of flesh out the overall presence of the character itself. You know, where his legs are, you know, maybe there's some branches or some weeds over here. And two, I'm not going into the specifics just yet. I'm literally just defining where stuff is as I go through, right? And two, I have to think of anatomy. I have to think, you know, here's his, and broad, I'm thinking in terms of broad shapes. You know, even as rudimentary as that is, it's a placeholder for me to help gauge where the other foot is. And also, even though it's probably the wrong size, it might not be in the right place, it still helps me in putting stuff where stuff needs to be. Right? And that's important. That's very important. Recently, actually within the past week or so, I was perusing through the news, and I don't know if I told you guys or not, I went to Ringling College of Art and Design in Sarasota. Graduated in 2000. Great school. You know, cost a ton of money. So one of those things where if you don't have the money to go, then don't go. Unless you want to pay a huge student loan But I was perusing through the news, and lo and behold, I saw one of the alumni that I went to school with, had classes with, has had some major issues in the media. Or he was part of a talk show, and he was one of the major producers of this talk show, writers, producers, and some really terrible, terrible allegations came out about him along with some other people, and there's a lot of politics involved with this organization. And, I saw that, and it really drove home, certain things about my career. And I was kind of upset because I knew this person, not on a personal level. We went to school together, and I didn't hang out with him or anything, but, I saw him in school, and I had classes with him, and I saw him go through their journey when I was at, Ringling. And, it was very hard to read some of the things that this person was accused of, because even though I didn't know this person personally, in the business world, you have certain business practices, and this person that I knew had broken a lot of those business practices, and frankly was, some lewd things were accused of him. And honestly, that was disturbing. I'm not going to say who it is because it's not my business to spread rumors. You can look it up and just, guess who it is. But the reality is it really showed me that even though I don't have a huge level of success, in my career, I'm not a millionaire. I don't make tons of money. I haven't had a ton, I wasn't, didn't do any movies or anything like that. I have had, relative success in my life. I've got a beautiful family and, a career where I can freelance from my home and, make YouTube videos at will. And really, I knew this person was, very successful financially and also career-wise, because I saw it in the news. But now that this person obviously made some missteps in the business world, in entertainment, now their career is basically over. And that to me is just, gosh, terrible. I mean, I looked at that and I was like, oh my gosh, how terrible is that? To work your entire life, at your career, and then because of one thing or the other, and maybe it's politics, maybe it has to do with business politics, not government politics, but business politics. And maybe, they're taking the fall for some bad decision making. And that does happen, by the way, in business. Maybe that happened. I really don't know. It's not my business to really have conjecture about it. I just was very disturbed at the fact, that a person that I went to school with and knew, and watched them go on their journey in the beginning, had this happen to them, and their career's over. It's over. There is no doubt in my mind that their career is over. They won't work in the entertainment industry ever again. Whenever you have that level of something happen and your name is put in the news, it just literally, it becomes, toxic, and especially in today's world. And what really sucks is, and this is one of the things that I told a friend of mine, I said, it doesn't matter what the truth is. And that really is terrible to say, but it doesn't. It matters what people believe. They could believe one thing. And people, unfortunately, people love to see somebody fail. I don't know where that comes from. I like to see people succeed. Maybe it's a weird dynamic of human of the human psyche or whatnot. I don't know. Anyway, that's one of the things that I looked at this week, and I thought, gosh, I am so fortunate to be, first of all, I'm fortunate to be where I am, you know, in the mountains. Second of all, in a career where I can kind of hide. I don't like saying hide because I'm not, you know, I don't hide. But I think what I'm trying to say is basically I'm not in the public eye, because the public eye is somewhere, you know, that I think a lot of people think they want to be. But at the end of the day, it's not really where they should be, because a lot of people can't handle that. And even though this person, I think, could handle it, I think that based upon what I've read, there are some things in his life that got out of control, you know, whether it was a relationship gone toxic and then that person was acting on revenge, or maybe everything they say about him is true. I really don't know. You know, it's not my job to judge and say they did or they did not. So that's what I'm trying to say is I'm very thankful for where I'm at. I'm thankful that, you know, I'm able to do what I do on a daily basis. And, you know, like yesterday, I took my kids down to the waterway here where I live, and we spent an afternoon swimming. So that was a lot of fun. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just going back and I'm redefining some of those areas. And I'm always I'm thinking in my brain, I'm thinking about gravity and how gravity is affecting these forms. You know, like how this coat comes down and how it's gonna, you know, it's got this fold that comes down. And I'm literally not going in and drawing the fold just yet. I'm still in that zone of defining, you know, where his belly comes out here. I'm gonna have him wear some shorts, I think. I usually don't have Beans wear any clothes, so he's completely naked all the time. So I'm gonna have his foot come up, and then I'm gonna have that ball of his foot come down. Right? Some grass come out. Have his foot, that toe comes out. And then I've got the other toes. These toes are kind of spread out here. Right? Okay. Come out. So his toes, like, you know, he's kind of stretched out. Have that hand come here. I'm going to have that kind of pinky come out. You know? You know, that whenever you hold something, a lot of times you'll do this, right? So that's what I'm doing here. Just having that pinky come out with that nail. And here's that other. Here. And that can's coming out right here. Okay. And two, if you notice, these two are two different sizes, these fingers. So what I got to do is I got to come back. I got to make this one bigger. And I'm going to have that come here. And you see how this is going down? I don't want that because it looks like he's reaching to here. So I want to have that nail come here. Here. Like that. Have that here. Comes here. Okay. And two, you ever heard that term draw through? Draw through. You draw through a form to define, you know, where things are. So what I've done is I've come here and I've drawn right here. This comes here. I really want to know where that shoulder is. So that shoulder's right about here. So then that kind of shows me where the other shoulder is, right? Have this piece of fabric come here. Okay, that jacket. It's got folds. So I'm going to have the jacket come here. Got that seam. Comes here. Fold, fold, fold. He's got his other fold here. Right? That other arm comes here. And you can barely see the silhouette of the other arm. I'm going to color that in, shade that in a little bit to help define, because the arm comes up, it comes down right here. Okay. Okay. All right, so now his girth kind of spills out just a little bit. And here's his leg here. He's got his calf muscle here, right? And then that little ankle. And I am putting some human traits into this, just, you know, that the way that I draw is kind of a combination of human anatomy and animal anatomy. You know, I've been doing this a little while, so I've got kind of an idea of my style. It's kind of a combination. It's kind of realistic cartooning, I call it. I've been doing it since college. I had a guy that I used to roommate with. His name was Anwar. He was a fantastic guy. Actually, one of my best friends in college. Fantastic guy. Loved anime. He didn't admit it, but he loved anime. And he liked that really interesting kind of anime, you know, like some of the ladies made you feel a little different. You know, that kind of anime. Hopefully he's not one of my subscribers. I'm not going to give his last name. Anwar. Haha, that was close. Just kidding. Just kidding. He's a teacher now. Awesome guy. And he always said my style was kind of like realistic cartoony, kind of a combination between, you know, Disney and Warner Brothers and, man, let's get this right here. I need to have that sit here because it's kind of on his tail. And Don Bluth, one of my favorite animators in the world. I love his style. Was Don Bluth. See, his tail's gonna come up. I need to have that come here. What I'm doing right now is, even though I've blocked in, see, I need to have it come here. I need to have his tail like right. Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, so it comes here and then it loops around. Like that, okay. I used to love, you know, trying to emulate Don Bluth's style, and I'm actually friends with Don Bluth on LinkedIn, and it's always really cool to be able to at least have access to people you really idolize. Sometimes it's not a good thing, but okay, here. See, I'm struggling right now with where I want to put that tail, you know. Get that sleeping bag. This is a sleeping bag right here. So even though it's rolled up, I want to have gravity affecting it. And it's just, and I could spend, you know, 20 minutes on just the bag alone here, trying to figure out the way things go in and out. So it's not easy to do, you know. Okay. And this is just supposed to be a warm-up. That's what I always say. Excuse me. I don't think his hat's big enough. His hat needs to be bigger. It needs to come out more. It needs to come here. Good. Come here. And have that eye come here. Okay. I don't think this is long enough either. It needs to be out further. It's going to come here. There. See, these little things, and what really stinks, not stinks, but this is, I love drawing with this pencil. But it is a colored pencil, which is what? Anybody want to tell me? It's wax. So it doesn't want to erase. It doesn't erase, actually. So if I go in, see, it doesn't erase. It just smears. So I have to really kind of pick and choose. I like the way it feels, though. You know? Okay, we're going to have that bag come here. Right here. Again, I'm thinking gravity, because gravity is pulling down on everything, pulling down on him. It's pulling down on his skin. It's pulling down on his clothes. It's, you know, whenever he sits, you know, he sits down, all of this mass expands like a bowl full of jelly. So we're gonna have that toe come here, toe here, toe here, right? Today, in my professional business, I'm working on toys, which is pretty much what I do every day. I work on toys, I design toys for theme parks, illustration work, pretty much whatever I'm asked to do. I've got a huge program that I'm developing currently for a, can't really tell you, it's for a magic-oriented series. Let's give this guy some stripes to reaffirm. Okay, so I'm going to put stripes on the shirt just to reconfirm this form. I can get it really tight and smooth, but I'm just going to literally start putting in some stripes here, right? Here, here, and maybe color in a couple here and there to help define this form a little bit better. I'm not really allowed to post anything on social media whenever it comes to my business and my professional work. I actually got a slap on the wrist because I did recently for a piece I did for Halloween Horror Nights. I didn't design the piece. I did the 3D sculpt of it. And they got wind of it being posted on one of the, yeah, that's fine. One of the portfolio sites. I think it was Art Project. Art Project, no. What is it? Anyway, it's one of the portfolio design sites. And they got wind of it and they're like, hey, take that down. Who do you think you are? And I'm like, it's the actual picture of the item that I purchased. And they're like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, okay. I mean, well, you can't argue with it. Okay. You know, a lot of times the companies are so sensitive about, you know, proprietary designs that even a purchased item you're not allowed to show. You know, if you were to go and purchase it and say that you were part of it or did it or whatever, they don't like that. And I understand that, and that's fine. But it was fun to do it. Okay, so now I'm just going back in, redefining some of the areas that I need to. I'm pretty happy with the way this is looking. You know, maybe back here to kind of balance. So I've got this big heavy drawing and all this negative space out here, right? So now I step back for a second and I look at the overall balance, right? There has to be balance, right? So maybe this is a rock. And again, I'm not going in and drawing all the facets of the rock. Basic shapes, big shapes. So you have this big rock here, okay? And then it comes up and you have the tail come here, and literally the tail comes up and goes right to these. And then you have this, the opposing angles, right? So I have opposing angles. So I have an angle here, and then I have an angle here. It helps give the drawing a more dynamic feel, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. Okay, so now I'll sharpen my pencil just a little bit. Then I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna start putting in a tighter line and still being loose. I love, one of the bad things about what I do, especially as an illustrator, and there's a guy that I like. He's a great illustrator. He's actually a very successful freelance illustrator. He's been doing it for a while. And, you know, he's incredible at inking. I mean, he's just so good. And I'm kind of envious. I don't get envious of too many illustrators. and his inking abilities are just so good. I want to be like him. But his inking style is quite chaotic, but in a controlled manner. I love the sketch. This is where I live. You know, originally I wanted to be, I don't know if I told you guys this, a Disney animator or an animator for Don Bluth or, you know, Warner Brothers or Sony. Oops, I broke my pencil. Oh man, it's because I'm putting too much pressure on it. But, you know, of course, things changed, and, you know, a lot of those studios aren't around anymore. And, you know, Disney Studio's still around. But not in the traditional sense of, you know, we are making a traditional movie. You know, and ultimately, I really think that that's a good thing. You know, I wanted to be an animator, and I still can be, and I animate quite a bit in a program called CaliPeg, which is on the iPad. But I just love sketching. I love drawing. I love acting with my drawings. I love doing that. And going to finish a lot of times is just, it's a production side that I don't like. Which is actually kind of beneficial to what I do in my professional world, because I do a lot of concept work. Concept drawings, simple, you know, simple stuff that looks good, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's still just a concept. So this is Beans. He's sitting. I'm gonna go ahead and do some folds here. He's sitting, having a can of beans. Come on, that was funny. Beans eating beans. That's funny. Here, go ahead and do this real quick. Okay. So I've got this rock to balance stuff, and then I've got these, you know, I want to have that nice, kind of comes around here. I've got that. Okay. Maybe have a pan right there. Good. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm going back and I'm pushing and pulling. So pushing and pulling means I'm pushing forms forward with darker lines. I'm sorry, I'm pulling forms I'm pulling things forward by darkening the lines. So this line will be darker on top of that line, and that line will be darker upon that form right there. Just to really give it variation of line weight. Even in the sketch stage, I think it's important to get these things fleshed out and ironed out. Okay, and that comes here. Okay, so here, maybe we've got a fold right there, fold right there. All right, here, maybe that toe's kind of bent over a little bit. See, in a world where I would go to finish on this, basically what I would do is I would take my eraser and I would just get rid of a lot of the lines and then come back with a pin. Okay, we have that here, here. I was at the Walt Disney Company for a little while, for about 2 years. And previous to that, I worked at a design studio in Orlando where we did a lot of stuff for Disney and the theme parks and whatnot. And it really gave me an appreciation for adaptability, and how I was able to have exposure to a myriad of characters from, you know, stuff from Sony to Pixar to Disney. I mean, I did Disney characters, I did Pixar characters, I did stuff from DC, Warner Brothers. I did just so many different types of characters, and it really gave me the ability to change my style very quickly to match the client's needs. And you know, I was a valuable asset at that company. And one of the things that I really miss is, first of all, I miss the people. That's one of the things, a freelancer, you miss the people. Miss my friends, miss all the fun. I can't even tell you how many times we laughed to the point where we couldn't even stand up. You know, it was stressful, but you know what? Creativity and life and everything else is stressful. But I really enjoyed being able to do so many different types of styles and characters, and you know, matching character styles, and that really gave me a leg up whenever I went to go and freelance, because people saw that I did so many different types of characters and was able to emulate style guide characters, and you know, help create style guides for that matter. And that was one of the first projects I did when I was at Disney, was to actually create a new style of Mickey Mouse that had a little bit of edge. He was Mickey Mouse Edge. And that was, gosh, that was kind of a highlight that I really, really had fun with. Let's give him his little things here. Okay. So that's pretty much it, what I wanted to show you guys today. Just a really fun little illustration of beans. You know, kind of old school. Went old school today, didn't go digital. You know, been doing a lot of digital work lately, a lot of sculpting, a lot of digital sculpting, you know. Okay, let's go over here. And it's good to get back to this, because this is what I like, and you can definitely show. It definitely shows that I like to do this, because I just sit down and I can really have fun, you know, doing this. So what I'll do now is I'll basically go back. I'll go back and I'll start putting in, again, redefining those areas that I need to, you know, coloring in some stuff, giving it some shadow. Whenever you give it shadow, even simple shadow, like I'm just putting some simple tones down here, what that's going to do is reconfirm and reaffirm the forms. And form is height, width, and depth. It's not two-dimension. It gives that third dimension. A lot of people have asked me, they say, what is the trick of thinking three-dimensionally? I said, there is no trick. You're already doing it. And they're like, huh? What are you talking about? You're already thinking three-dimensionally. And you live in a three-dimensional world, right? That's why it's so hard for us to draw. Because we're thinking in 3 dimensions and we're putting on a 2D surface to look three-dimensional. It is a disconnect, and it takes years of practice to be able to see. See, that's one of the things my teacher said. Actually, one of the teachers that I doubt he even knew that he said it. One of my teachers at Ringling, Regan Dunnick, he said, you can't trust your eyes because they will lie to you. You know, one of my figure teachers too, I forget his last name. First name was Mike. What was his last name? I'm terrible with names. Anyway, he also said, your eyes will lie to you. They will do things, especially because you're looking at a three-dimensional world, and it's hard to place things in certain areas. But it takes a very long time. Well, I don't want to say this. I don't want to say it takes a long time. Let's rephrase that. It takes effort, and it takes an acceptance of failure to be able to learn how to do this. Some people, their eyes are developed a little bit better early on, and we call that talent. And then you have creativity, which is a completely different aspect of this whole art thing. You know, creativity involves what you put in your bank account and all those neurons firing in your head, and how you can think three-dimensionally and how you can tell stories, you know. So I think that's all I wanted to show you guys today. Hopefully the video didn't go too long. Hopefully you enjoyed the commentary. Hopefully I'm not going to get another comment that's like, you talk too much. And then I get another comment below it said, you don't talk enough. You know what? Hopefully it's a balance for you guys. And hopefully you got something good today out of this drawing. I'll probably sit here for the next few minutes, just going back, redefining some stuff here and there. And I'm going to put some, I don't know what these things are called. They're not called scales. Fins of the tail. Anybody know? You can put in the comments below for me. I do have a store where you can buy stuff. It's on Amazon merch. Just look up Michael Clarity Illustration. I'm selling some stuff from my Bigfoot line, and also some fish shirts and stuff like that. I tend to err on the side of caution whenever it comes to apparel and sales, but I got some funny stuff up there. So just look up on Amazon merch, or Amazon, just put it in Amazon, Michael Clarity Illustration, and you'll see some of my stuff that's for sale. It's reasonable. I've got a couple other places that you can buy stuff, but at the end of the day, if you're just here to learn, then that's awesome. Thanks for coming. Okay, well, that's it. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.